Tony Chapman. I'm the host of a radio show and podcast called Chatter That Matters. And this place is quite possibly my favorite place in the world. And the reason why quite possibly saved my life.
I'm about to go in and see my patient, Tony. About 8 years ago, he came to me with a little spot on his abdomen. He wasn't that worried about it, but it had changed. So thankfully he came in, I took a look at it. I did not like the features of it, so I did a biopsy. The results came back about 2 weeks later, and it actually was a melanoma. So I brought Tony back in just to give him that information and to proceed with the next steps. What I said to him that day was, I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is that that spot was a melanoma, but what I always say to my patients is the good news is that we know about it and now we can deal with it. What I would really not want if it was sitting there and we had no idea and it was continuing to grow. So that same day, we did an excision of the melanoma, a re-excision, which means we just cut around the existing scar from the biopsy. And then 2 weeks later, we got the results back and it was all clear. So that was great news for Tony. So Tony's gonna share his journey, things that he's changed in his life, and how he is today.
So Dr. Carroll, it was 8 years ago that I came in with this little growth in my stomach. And I am so grateful that one, you had an opportunity to see me that quickly, and two, you immediately took, if you remember, said, I'm gonna take a sample and get it checked, but there's nothing to be worried about.
Right. I always do that because I don't want people to worry. Most of the times we do a biopsy and it turns out to be nothing, thankfully. And so my motto is, let's not worry about it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
But then I got the phone call from you. You said, you should come in and talk about it. And I really appreciate how calm you were. It wasn't like, I didn't panic and I didn't start thinking about it. And I came in to see you and then I got dealt with some pretty bad news.
Mm-hmm. So I told you that what we had removed was actually a malignant melanoma.
And I went saying, I kind of know what that is, but of course with the internet, the most dangerous thing is you start going through these labyrinths, but you were just saying, you know what, we get it early, we're gonna test it out, and you did this incredible procedure right in the office, and you said, let me first see what's happening before you start panicking.
Right. No Dr. Google.
No Dr. Google, so I put Dr. Google away, and then you called me back and
we said you were lucky that it actually wasn't that deep and we were able to remove it all.
And since then, and absolutely being a life changer. Not only do I value life more, because if I let that go, who knows what would happen, but I really appreciate the fact that it wasn't just all about medicine. You really sat down and said, here's some things you should be thinking about doing as an individual to make sure that you protect yourself from ever having that happen again.
Yeah. So I want to back up a little bit and just ask, for you and your family, when you were in that waiting period, what kind of thoughts and feelings were you having?
Well, you told me not to Dr. Google, but of course I did a little Dr. Googling, and it puts everything in perspective because you think your life is infinite. Your mortality is not something you really think about, and all your plans, and next thing you do suddenly, I wonder if it could be something that bad. Mm-hmm. So it really changes your perspective, and it really makes you start having conversations that you normally wouldn't have. And in my case, that's a good thing because, again, as I said, it makes you value life a little differently because you kind of appreciate the fact that you have your health.
Yeah. And as a guy, do you think melanoma was on your radar before that happened?
Never. I mean, it just wasn't something that I thought about. I didn't. It wasn't that I'm a healthy guy. I work out and stuff, but it wasn't something I ever said I need to do skin checks.
Right.
It wasn't something that anybody had ever told me that you should look at. It was always if you have some weird mole grow in your body. But this was just a little growth. I mean, I just thought it was an ingrown hair, and well, I don't have any hair in it.
So it's interesting because for men, you actually have a 1 in 27 lifetime chance of having a melanoma, and that's higher than a woman's chance. So I think it's important for everyone to recognize that as men, that chance is there, and to really be cognizant of the fact and be aware that these things can pop up.
And what do you advise? I'm curious what you advise all those men out there to do so that they're not part of the 1 in 27 that are on the other side of that.
That's good. I like it. Who's interviewing you here?
I remember it like it was yesterday, but it was 8 years ago, and I walked away feeling confident that we got the cancer, but I really liked what you told me about here's some simple steps to take to make sure you never have to go through that again.
Well, that? I'm not going to say never, but we can definitely reduce your chances. So I do remember. So the first thing I would have recommended to you is that you do regular self-checks. What day's your birthday?
The 30th.
Okay, so I would have said on the 30th of every month, I want you to strip down, use a mirror, get some help from someone at home if you want, and we just want you to get to know your body, get to know your moles, because we know statistically that 75% of patients or their family members will find those melanomas.
Wow.
So is that something you guys have been doing?
We do. I do it actually probably almost every day because I'm just paranoid. But I do the places I can't see and find.
Yeah.
I enlist my wife.
You call a friend.
I call a friend. Well, no, actually, in this case, it has to be my wife.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we would have talked about would have been sun-safe behaviors. So I know that in the past you like to travel, get a little bit of sun.
Well, I used to like a little bit of that tan, and I am married to a South African, so she would live in the sun if I let her.
Okay, so what's changed though?
Oh, quite a bit. I mean, your SPF 50 plus. You talked to me about if I'm going to be outside in the peak hours of the day, long sleeve, great sunglasses, protect my eyes, wear a hat. Just be really smart about the fact that sun is deadly.
Right.
So you can enjoy it, but at the same time respect it.
Yeah, and I know you guys have taken up surfing since your diagnosis, and it seems like you can do that safely with no problem.
And the thing that you told me about surfing, I never would have thought of it. Make sure I wear sunscreen on my feet as well.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing, and you're really good at this, is if you notice something, you're on the phone to me, to my office, and you're booking an appointment. I think when people spot something that they're worried about, they want to reach out to a board-certified dermatologist and get it checked. Because skin cancer, when it's caught early, is very preventable and very treatable. So I think those are the things that I want people to remember, is that it's a really easy test to do. When you come in for a skin check, is it any big deal?
No, it's not at all, and I feel very good when I leave because you've gone through, you've got the light on, you've looked at my entire body, and if there's something that bugs me, right away you'll calm me down if you go, that's not it, or if there's something that you think is serious, you'll take a sample of it. But the other thing that you put me to a website to do the skin check. What was that?
Dermatology.ca.
Oh yeah, that's perfect because I really take you through exactly what to do, and it made it simple and easy, and it's kind of just, it's like drinking 6 glasses of water a day. Once you start doing that, it just becomes part of your life.
Yeah, perfect. So what would you say for people out there that have been diagnosed with melanoma or concerned about melanoma? Melanoma has touched their lives. Do you have a take-home message for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a serious cancer, but as Dr. Carl taught me, it's a cancer that can be caught early. It's the easiest one to eradicate. But at the same time, you take it serious. It happened once, it can happen again. And I absolutely have changed the way I treat the sun, the outdoors, and what I put on to prepare myself for every day.
Yeah, you've turned into a model patient.
A model patient.
Thanks so much, Tony, for sharing that with us.
Thanks for having me.
So that's Tony's story. Remember that skin cancer is one of the most preventable and treatable cancers. If you see something that you're worried about, don't wait. Have it checked out by a board-certified dermatologist. For more information and resources, please check out dermatology.ca.